Hey photographer, Jessica here, and I am so stoked to compare the Sigma 35mm art 1.4 lens against the Canon 28mm 1.8 lens. I teach both film and digital photography to beginners here on YouTube. So if you want to be the first to know when a new tutorial comes out for you and your business, be sure to hit subscribe and turn on the bell, and you will receive a free tutorial in your inbox every single week. I have the two lenses here. We have the Sigma 35mm 1.4 in this hand, and this hand has the Canon 28mm 1.8 lens. Right off the bat, you can see a massive size difference. The 35 is it's like double the height, and it's about 3 times heavier. The 28 is just a little guy that you can pop into any purse, any backpack. You don't necessarily need a camera bag to use this on your body and to carry it around for the day. So I guess I should start out by saying that all of my review videos, all of my photography videos here on YouTube, I teach from a practical perspective. I'm teaching to beginners, and using complicated technical jargon is not going to help anyone. So don't worry, in this video, we are going to be talking about the practical differences between these two. If you want a more detailed spec list, then click the links in the description box below. I'll have each lens listed there, and I have done a dedicated review on the Sigma 35 art lens, and I could totally do one on the 28 if you would like. And in those dedicated review videos, I go over much more, but this is a comparison. It's a bit different than a lens review. So let's get that out of the way. I bought my Sigma 35 art new in 2016, and the 28mm is actually used, and I'm borrowing it from KEH, who is sponsoring this video. KEH is where you can buy and sell used camera equipment. They have a very, very large inventory for both digital and film photography and videography. There's been so many new launches with Canon and Sony for new cameras, and if you are looking to upgrade to one of those fun new cameras, then you can sell your current kit with KEH. So right now, because of everything that's happening, they have virtual gear appointments where you can meet with a seller via video chat. You could walk them through all the specs, and they also on KEH have a more detailed form where you can put in the make, the model, when you bought it, and then they'll give you a quote. But I thought that the whole video chat was even cooler because you have a little bit more interaction and maybe even more wiggle room. And then if they make you an offer, you can pick if you want to take the cash and get paid or trade it in, get store credit, and there's even front door pickup. I'm going to have them linked down below, and if you're interested, I also have a 5% off discount code when you use the code JESS1 at checkout. With that being said, I'm so thankful to be sponsored because it means that I can put even more time into creating these free videos for you. So let's get into the comparison. The Canon 28mm 1.8 lens. If you were to buy this lens new, it would be about $500. If you bought it on KEH used, in good condition too, it's gonna be about $300. The exact price, to be exact, is $334, but it's a great deal. Now, the Sigma 35 1.4 art lens, if you were to buy this new in 2020, you're looking at about $700. In 2016, when I bought this new, it was $900. But if you buy it on KEH, you're looking at about $580. So $580 versus $700, that's such a big difference. Pricing out of the way, 35 is more expensive than the 28. Let's talk about what I personally use these two lenses for. My 35mm lens, I've already done a full review on it, but I really love this for travel photography when I want to incorporate a lot of the landscape, the background, and also in the same lens take some portraits of myself. Would I use this on clients for portraits, like straight up headshots essentially? No, it warps the image way too much. I don't think it's very appropriate for it. However, there is a lot of hype around the Sigma 35 art lens, and it's a great lens, and you can get away doing portraits with it. And I mentioned all of that in my review video, but I'm definitely more of a 50mm person when it comes to portraits. But if I'm looking for just one lens to have on my camera body that I can do videography with on my trip, I can get some photos of just myself for my personal use or for my Instagram, nothing that a client's paying me for, and the landscape in the background, then the 35 is great. However, it's so inconvenient about how large it is. See the size difference? Like, this is 2 times larger and it's much heavier. So putting this all on my already heavy Canon 5D Mark II body just makes my back hurt. I need to like pop some Advil just even out the thought of it. It's just not as practical. You have to also wear a specific purse, or you have to wear a backpack. I hate wearing backpacks. Don't even get me started. Only when I'm doing like a wedding or like I have my full gear. But I do not want to wear a backpack when I'm traveling and it's gonna like ruin my outfit and make my sleeves even puffier than they are with a shoulder pad. You know what I mean. So the 28mm lens though is a great option if you are somebody who just wants one lens to take with you on vacation, on holiday. You want to get a lot of the background in the shot, you want to capture some architecture, maybe you want to photograph your food, some of the monuments, and you also want to have you in the frame. The 28mm is not the best for portraits, and you'll see why in the comparisons. It's just way too wide, but you could still totally get away with it. And I have done a video where I use the Sigma 24mm, so not 28, but a 24, during a portrait session, and that's all I use for the whole video. There are ways to get around the 24mm for portraits if you absolutely have to. You can watch that video linked in the iCards up here, but I think it's great for travel because it's a lot more practical. You don't have to wear a big tote bag or a backpack with this lens. You're not limited to the purse that you're carrying. You can pop this on your camera body and put it into pretty much anything, which I really like. That's from a practical perspective. But what I would typically use this for, if I had, you know, all my lenses with me for a wedding, I would say shots of the table, maybe group shots of the guests. Let's say I was doing product photography, nothing too close, nothing macro, but you know, I was incorporating some of a kitchen in it, and then I had the food here, and then the appliance, and you know, the 28mm is great for that. It's much wider than 35. I can have more white space to deliver to my clients, some more room for text. You know, it's just a lot wider. It's more practical in that sense. And that is what I personally would use a 28 for, is like product photography and then travel photography. I would also bring it with me on a shoot to just capture. I love sticking my clients in the middle of the shot and then having a ton of environment around them. Maybe they're running towards the frame, and the 28mm would be fantastic for that. It's a very purposeful lens. You have to be intentional with what you're going to use it from. I think if you're going to start from scratch with lenses, I wouldn't say the 28mm. I just don't think it's practical enough. You can't use it really for portraits, whereas you can get away with a 35 for portrait photography, and some photographers only shoot on the 35 for portraits, like I did for such a long time. I just think now it's best to have a 50mm for portraits. So if you are like, I have nothing and I can just pick one lens, go for the 35 if price isn't an issue. That's the thing. The price difference is pretty different. You have $580 and $330. So are you going to put a little bit more money into the 35, or are you going to have a 28mm and then maybe you're going to, in a year, going to add a 50mm to your collection? Because I don't think that you need both. This is from the practical perspective, okay? I do have both. I have a 24 and I have a 35. I'm using the 28 from KEH. But I don't think that it's necessarily to have both when you're first starting out. With that being said, so much information, but more information is better than less in this instance. Let's talk about the cons to this lens. First off, focusing issues. The Sigma 35 is infamous for its focusing issues. I run one of Facebook's largest and most engaged photography communities called Build and Bloom. You should join it if you're not a member already. It's an encouraging, kind, and inclusive photography community. I cannot tell you how many posts I see asking why the Sigma 35 that I just purchased directly from the retailer, not used or anything, why does it have focusing issues? And then half the comments will say that theirs does have focusing issues, half say that it don't. It's super weird. I actually got a Sigma lens. I ordered it from B&H Photo. That was in great condition. I had no focusing issues. And I'm the kind of person with the luck that I would actually have the bad luck. I would get the lens that had focusing issues. So I was shook when I got a good one. Let's say though, you get the lens that is great. You're on the 50% of people who got a lens that has no issues. Wow, it's a miracle, honestly. Then is it slow to focus? No, I think it's pretty fast. I think it's really sharp. I like it. I haven't had any focusing issues. The 28mm from Canon, okay. When I was doing the photos out with my friend Anya, like switching between the two lenses for each shot, you're gonna see those comparison photos, don't worry. I was getting frustrated, y'all, like at how slow the 28mm is, especially when you are doing these comparisons, you're working with the 35 and then switching to the 28. Oh my goodness, this thing is slow. It's a little bit longer than other comparable lenses in the price point of the Canon lenses. And so with that being said, is the focusing itself sharp? Yes, it definitely lands on the sharp side, but it's not as razor sharp as the Sigma lens, or honestly, even like the Canon 1.8 50mm, that's like 150 bucks. I was really, really surprised because I've never experienced this with a Canon lens before. It's not a deal breaker for me, but it's worth mentioning. Nothing was off about the focusing. It just takes a while for it to like adjust, and then when you click it, I don't know, it's a very odd experience. But when you do look back on the images and you zoom in, the image is sharp. It's not razor sharp, but it's great for the price point, $300. However, it's weird that the Canon 50mm 1.8, which is $150, is sharper than this one. It's just interesting. Now let's talk about the color that these lenses produce. And okay, this is kind of crazy. The Sigma Art lens is like vibrant compared to the Canon 28mm. Now, some people view that as a pro, some people view that as a con. I personally view it as a con. Now, this is why. Canon has excellent color profiles, so they say. People love Canon because it's like flat, it's pretty grayed out, so it gives you a lot of flexibility in post-processing to really color grade your image exactly how you want it. I, though, love Nikon cameras because I'm obsessed with how my colors look in camera. And a few weeks ago, I tried a Fuji, like the Fuji X100V for the first time, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the Nikon. But if you're more like me and you love Nikon because you love how vibrant the colors are and, you know, you don't mind that they're a little bit brighter than you see in person, then you would probably like the Sigma better. Let's talk about videography. I'm not a professional videographer, but listen to me anyway. No, okay, so I have the bare minimum when it comes to videography because I do need it. I need to know about a little bit over the bare minimum for what I do here on YouTube. And I love the 35mm focal length for video. It's so good. It's like kind of what your eyes see. It's not too stretched out. It's not too close in. Right now I'm filming on a 50mm. I just love the 35 focal length. And I think it's great for videography if you want to start a YouTube channel, if you need to do any kind of video content, you just want one lens, go for the 35 focal length. However, I do still use my own 24mm, and I would use a 28mm if I didn't have my 24. It's hard because I own the Sigma 24 and I've been using KEH's 28 that they let me borrow. With that being said, if you do a bit more videography in your work, or if you want to have a bit more of this almost vlog style to your videos, you want more in the frame, you want to see as much of the environment as you can, it just gives it a different feel, then I think the 28mm is actually even better length than the 24. 24, I know it's only 4 digits, but the 24 is really wide. Like I feel like I'm like in a fisheye lens kind of vibe. It works for some shots, but the 28mm, if you were, you know what, I would say this. If you are wanting to do videography and you could only buy one lens, would I tell you to get a 35 focal length just in general or 28 focal length? I would say go for the 28. Okay, does it have any focus breathing on it? That's kind of where the image kind of pushes in and out really slowly / really quick. You need to do a Google search on this definition, but when it comes to focus breathing, it's not too bad on either lenses, in my opinion. The distortion between these two lenses is wild. I mean, these lenses are wide angle. So lens distortion is essentially where the 4 corners of the image are curved in. You can fix this easily in Lightroom by clicking a box that says fix lens distortion. You click that box and then all 4 corners will like pop out. You no longer have it rounded or a vignette around it. Sometimes I do like the lens distortion. When I show you the comparison images, which are coming next, I will be fixing the distortion. I'm not going to leave it because when I use these lenses, I already fix it in post. Now let's move into the part you have all been waiting for, or at least 12 of you have been waiting for this part, or maybe you even skipped forward past me talking to get straight to this point. But I'm going to share with you side-by-side comparison shots with both lenses. Which lens do you prefer? Do you have either of these? Do you have both? Share your thoughts, share your opinions, and also with that, share what kind of photography you do. This really just helps other people out by having even more perspectives. And that's another reason why I love Build and Bloom, is because I can only share my perspective, but in the Build and Bloom Photography Facebook group, you can get lots of different ideas, perspectives, and thoughts. Be sure to hit subscribe to my YouTube channel, and in exchange, it's free to do, and in exchange you will receive a free photography tutorial in your inbox every single week. I also have my photography business podcast. If you want to learn more about the business end of things, you can search Build and Bloom podcast on any platform to listen and to learn. Don't forget to join the Build and Bloom Photography Facebook group. And I also have my online photography workshop where I teach you how to start and scale a photography business in your own backyard on a realistic schedule from a practical perspective. If you want to continue to support this channel and the free videos that I bring you, then go and check out KEH Camera. KEH is linked down below. You can use code JESS1 at checkout for a 5% discount. And I believe in you, and I believe in your business, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.